Well, hello, welcome to my kitchen. I have got some very special guests in my kitchen today. This is my Aunt Nancy, and this is my Aunt Beth, and these are my father's sisters. And we're cooking in the kitchen today. Beth's making up some sausage. Tell them about that sausage.
I drive all the way to the other side of Tallahassee, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, to get Bradley's sausage every time grandchildren come. And if you go, there's always a line. People come from everywhere to get Bradley's sausage.
Wonderful.
It's been in business for almost 100 years.
I think it is right at 100 years. I think it was in the 1920s.
So if you're in the Tallahassee area or in the southeast, you've got to visit Bradley's Sausage. And Aunt Nancy is making her family famous waffles today. And you know what? I'm just gonna let you tell us about that, Aunt Nancy.
The thing that's different about this waffle recipe is that it also is made with yeast. Don't let the yeast scare you. A lot of people, when they hear yeast, they think, that's a lot of trouble, but it's really not. The recipe starts with, where you take your yeast, you'll put it in maybe a package of yeast and a half a cup of warm water. With the water, just put that finger in the water, and if it hurts your finger, it's too hot. If you don't feel some warmth, it's not warm enough, so you've just got to have it that right temperature. 1 teaspoon of sugar to kind of feed the yeast. Put your yeast package in, stir it up, and you'll see bubbles come. If after about 5 minutes you're not seeing the bubbles, you know that yeast is not good, and you need to get another package of yeast and start over. But anyway, you've got your yeast water made, 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, the orange box.
Yes, the good old Arm & Hammer baking soda.
2 cups of milk, and I always warm my milk. It just because you don't want to put something so cold altogether when you're wanting warm yeast to rise. So I do warm the milk either in the microwave or just in a pot on the stove. 2 cups of warm milk, a half a cup of butter. My original recipe calls for a half cup of butter, but I don't put that much. I back off and put maybe a 1/4 a cup and a tablespoon of extra.
See, now that's where you and I differ, because my hand always is on the heavy side.
Oh, and so you'll put the whole half cup.
I'm with you, Kathy.
But see, that's why I look like this and she looks like that.
Not really, we got sidetracked there. Okay, we've got the warm milk, we've got baking soda, 2 cups of flour, I think I said. Anyway, 2 eggs. That would make a huge difference if you left
Now,
out
do
the
you
eggs.
mix the eggs
I beat them. I just beat them a little bit, and then you've got to be careful adding your eggs if you've got warm milk, the warm water with the yeast, and I melt my butter. So all those things are warm. You don't want them too warm because they will begin to cook pieces of the egg. So you just have to temper a little bit at a time and stir it all up. Then combine your liquid with your flour mixture. Stir it a little bit, get the lumps out. You don't want to overbeat it because it will be tough. But stir it a little bit, cover it with a dish towel or whatever. Let it sit. I prefer, you don't have to let it sit and rise, but I like to when the grandchildren are visiting. It's just wonderful to get it done early, out of the way, and it's sitting while we take care of sausage and other things. And so it has an hour or so to rise, and that's kind of ideal.
That's wonderful, and let's show them. Look at this beautiful batter, and if you could smell it, you smell all of that delicious yeast.
The first waffles in America, just in case you want to know this little tidbit of history.
Step up and tell this history.
Beth is our family historian.
Yes, I've recently become a historian.
Yes.
Or a history grouping, whichever would be the best title. But the Pilgrims brought the first waffles, the Dutch Pilgrims brought the first waffles to America in 1620. And then Thomas Jefferson brought to America the first waffle iron, which I'm sure did not have a light on it.
Oh, no, it probably didn't. Back in the day.
Long-handled to cook over the fire.
Such gadgets we have today.
Yes.
Waffles have been around. The ancient Greeks had waffles. Even in the Stone Age, they say they had waffles. But in medieval Europe, the Catholic Church, everybody used them as a dessert. And then the Catholic Church started using them like you do a communion wafer. And they called them wafers. Then in the English changed it to waffle when it was in medieval Europe. And then later on, the British added the second F to make the waffle that we have the spelling of today.
How about that?
And maple syrup, they really got almost global recognition in the American colonies when they started adding maple syrup to them. The reason they added maple syrup, though, because it was a lot cheaper. Granulated sugar during that time period was extremely expensive.
Well, I want to tell you, it just smells amazing in this kitchen right now. And Aunt Nancy has just put on the waffles. And if you can see the steam rising, oh, and if you could smell what we smell.
When we do waffles and serve them, everybody has a favorite. Some people just like butter out of the family and just butter their waffles. Others like syrup. If it's my children and grandchildren, it has to be a certain brand syrup. I try to put in different syrups or maple syrup. Well, it would be Mrs. Butterworth.
Hey, this was on our table. We were growing up.
It's family favorite, so we always have Mrs. Butterworth. Personally, I like maple syrup, but
This
the only
is my
one that
husband's
does.
favorite.
Yes,
So,
please.
yeah.
How wonderful that Jimmy likes that. And actually, it's one of my favorite foods, the waffles with a little dollop of fresh whipped cream. And so many people don't whip their cream, they do the hand. It's so easy to whip cream. You get it in the mixer, turn the mixer on medium to high. In a minute, you've got whipped cream. And you may want to add a tablespoon of sugar, maybe not. It's about the same either way. With chantilly cream, you can even put a touch of vanilla in it if you want to. But anyway, favorite would be waffle with cream, fresh fruit, and then syrup, of course. All of the above.
And I think a little butter makes
Oh no, you gotta do butter. If the waffle's hot, then that just says put butter on it.
Absolutely.
So you need that. But anyway, it ranks up there. I love popcorn's my favorite food, and after popcorn, it would be the waffles with fruit and whipped cream. I think the waffles are ready, Christian. We're about to open and see. Sometimes we undercook, sometimes we overcook, and we just adjust. So we'll see how the first one is. Looks okay. Oh, yay. Ooh, look at that. Oh, good to get the other. Christian, I can't wait to eat this. There. And there. Look at this. We've got our stars, some waffles.
Look how light and fluffy. Can you see the thickness? And listen, y'all, when you pick it up, it's light as a feather. Oh, they look like a little piece of heaven, like little clouds. Yeah.
Well, we're ready to eat.
Woo! We are about to have this delicious breakfast, and I've got my beautiful family with me. I've got my mother. So happy to have her here today. My husband, y'all take note of this. He does not like to be on this side of the camera.
He did it for waffles.
He did it for waffles. And speaking of waffles, I hear that going off. You are a blessing to me. Thanks so much for joining me today. Will you press that like button, share this with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and y'all, we are about to eat this delicious feast. We'll see you next time.
Yay!
Yay!
You see, this is delicious.
It is unbelievably
There's
good.
more coming. Wait for a hot one to be out. Wow.
It looks like a magazine picture.
Mhm.